I'm Tania Hayes, I work for AAT and I am the Head of Conduct and Compliance there. AAT is an awarding body and also a professional membership association. What that means is that we're in a position where we can award our own qualifications. That qualification then provides the foundation upon which our members come through to the organisation. As a professional membership association, we offer a range of benefits to our members. My role is fairly quasi in that I'm obviously from the Conduct and Compliance section, which deals with the maintenance of standards and the monitoring of standards within the membership. My team is responsible for a number of different areas, including the disciplinary process. That's through from the initial investigations to the ultimate tribunal, should that be necessary. We undertake suitability assessment of individuals wishing to become members of our professional body. We oversee the anti-money laundering supervision programme, which is in relation to the money laundering regulations. Additionally, we look at professional ethics. We oversee the setting of the professional ethics standards as well as the maintenance of it.
I'm Agnes Siegel, and I work for the Institution of Engineering and Technology, which we normally refer to as the IET, and my job title is Manager of Membership Services. I'm responsible for the membership department. That's separate from the qualifications department. It's about the membership and the admission of people to MIET and TMIET, and all the services that we offer as part of membership separately from the qualification area, plus still all the administration and management of the member groups throughout the world. And I also have this awards and prizes area, which is quite wide as well, because that covers everything from the scholarships we offer through to the major achievement medals that we give.
Rosemary Butler, I'm Director of Membership and Professional Development at the Chartered Institution of Water and Environmental Management, or CIWEM for short. My main areas of responsibility are recruitment of membership, maintaining membership, so it's not just recruitment, it's retaining the members once they're in. Things like subscription, professional development, we do accreditation of courses at universities and other short courses, CPD courses. We also run our own professional development scheme, and we have a series of workshops. So those are in a nutshell, very quickly, just a few of my responsibilities.
I'm Jane O'Brien. I work for the General Medical Council and I'm Head of Standards and Ethics. I've been in my current role for about 6 years, but I have worked with the GMC on standards and ethics issues for 20 years. I'm actually part of a wider directorate which is called Standards and Fitness to Practice. So we work closely with our colleagues who consider complaints and take action against doctors whose fitness to practice is impaired. But we also work across directorates with other parts of the organisation, particularly those working in education and revalidation, because the standards we set underpin all of the work that we do in those areas as well.
For me, I think it's most important for our members to understand the standards to which they are being held in order to maintain them within the profession. In our case, we've got a code of professional ethics, which is based around 5 fundamental principles, those principles being integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, confidentiality and professional behaviour. Members have an obligation to maintain those 5 core fundamental principles at all times using a conceptual framework approach. So what they need to do is identify what the threats are to their compliance with those 5 fundamental principles and then put in place safeguards to minimise the risk of those threats being realised. We've sought to address this by embedding professional ethics into our qualification at the earliest opportunity, and then we use every opportunity available to us to continually give out those ethics messages, whether that's by way of events publications or e-learning, we constantly reiterate the importance of ethical practice in maintaining professional standards. As an organisation, we advocate an iterative process in relation to the maintenance of standards. We constantly strive to educate and support our members in order for them to understand the standards to which they are expected to behave. This is in relation to all the areas of work they undertake, whether it's their technical competence, their ethical competence, or our expectations in relation to their continuing professional development. In most instances, this iterative process successfully results in the maintenance of standards within our profession. Additionally, we provide support to our members if they need it. So if they have ad hoc queries, they can come to us and we will provide them with kind of the direction in which they should be going. However, in relatively few instances, this isn't sufficient. And at that point, we have to step in and hold members to account for failings in their professional practice, which ultimately would undermine public confidence in the profession as a whole. Where a member's actions or behaviours are incompatible with their professional status, which is obviously afforded to them by their membership with us, we do have the power to expel them from membership, although this is one of the suite of sanctions available for us to use in order to protect the public interest. Where a member's actions are not so serious that they would warrant expulsion, we have a commitment then to educate these members and bring them back up to the maintenance of standards. That then takes us back to where our role is to educate and support our members in achieving that compliance.
Well, the most important thing that we do is we run the registration activity, and that is about awarding the qualifications CEng, IEng, EngTech and ICT Tech, and the peripheral things, as I mentioned before, that go around that, which is about accrediting the university degree programmes and accrediting the training schemes that employers run in industry. The other side is the ethics side, because every member, when they become a member, signs up to adhere to the Code of Professional Conduct. And the Code of Professional Conduct is like all codes of professional conduct. It's modern. I mean, it's been revised very, very recently, but nevertheless it's quite dry, and people just tick the box, yes, I've read it, yes, of course I'm going to adhere to it. So what we've been trying to do over the last couple of years is bring the Code of Conduct to life so that people can understand how the things that they've undertaken to do are real in terms of their own engineering experience. And it's quite interesting, really. It's about things like honesty. I mean, they've undertaken to always take on work that they're qualified to do, for example. And we try and explore the boundaries of what that really means to people. You know, if you're asked to do a job and you know you're not fully up to speed professionally on that particular area, do you turn it down, or do you ask for time to go and do some more learning, or do you not do that but just be very clear about what you do know and what you don't know? There's a million different ways, there are hundreds of different ways in which a person, any individual person, might approach that sort of problem. But what we've tried to do is give them an opportunity to think about what they would do in that situation and how they would address it. If the IET stands for only, let's say, accrediting a training scheme, if it meets all of the standards that have been set, you don't then accredit if a training scheme that you look at doesn't meet all those standards, because the IET mark is quality. That is just what it is, and that's why people want to be associated with us. So it's really, really important that we keep our sights on that quality and never lower it for financial gain or anything like that, which there are pressures to lower the standards. Of course there are. I mean, companies will say, well, of course, you know, we're X corporation, we expect to be accredited, or universities would expect to be accredited and get very, very cross if we said, well, actually, we don't think you do meet the standards, but it's having the courage to stick to our guns.
Ensuring that people have the right qualifications and the right sort of experience and amount of experience, relevant experience, to be considered for membership, and also overseeing the peer review system, which is not just a paperwork exercise, it is actually face-to-face interviews as well. That certainly is, if you like, a watching brief over the standards, because if there are any slips in standards, then that would be where they would be seen first. But certainly that peer review is essential to making sure that the people who join CIWEM are suitable for chartership. Not only are they suitable for chartership, they're also competent professionals. And we do that on the back of mandatory competences which they have to fulfil for the institution. I would say having a certain level of expectation of our members, for one thing. They are bound by a code of conduct, they are bound by a code of ethics, and there is a disciplinary procedure. And I think if someone is taking their career seriously, then we actually are perhaps maybe the nudge in the ribs every now and again about people's behaviour. But it is certainly, I would say that CIWEM's role is to actually bring up the level of recognition for the environmentalist. I mean, it was very much thought of as a socks and sandals discipline when I first came to CIWEM, but it's taken far more seriously now with everything that's happening.
Through the guidance that we publish that comes from my team, and that's supported by case studies and other learning materials which are available on our website, which show how the guidance might apply in practice. In particular, we've got a sort of e-learning package called Good Medical Practice in Action, which takes you through a whole range of ethical issues and how they might play out in realistic scenarios. The key is for us is to keep in mind and apply some fundamental principles about what patients want from their doctors, and not let that idea get lost in all the morass of detail and different organisations and reorganisation of the NHS and so on, is to keep a focus on that very simple question: what do patients want? And we know that they want information, they want respect, they want high quality, competent care, and they want confidentiality, range of things there. And to make sure that we do know what it is that they want, we make sure that we go and consult very widely in the public as well as the profession when we update our guidance, particularly our core guidance, Good Medical Practice, where really the idea is that it should be representing a consensus between the profession and the public about what a good doctor is and what they will do. We have a constant review of our guidance booklets because we have to make sure they're up to date, and at the moment the ones that we are reviewing are our guidance for doctors working in management and our guidance on prescribing. In the new year we will be starting the next review of Good Medical Practice, our core guidance, which will probably be a 2-year project involving a lot of consultation and engagement. At the same time, we're concerned to make sure that doctors understand how our guidance applies in real life situations, trying to bring the guidance to life. And we're focusing at the moment on patients with learning disabilities, and we're developing a sort of web resource of materials to help doctors apply the principles in our guidance to when they're working with treating patients with learning disabilities, and we hope to launch that website in May next year. I think it's quite a general thing, which is to have a focus and a clear and shared understanding of the values that inform the profession, I think, and that's something which the GMC can provide through its guidance documents, and that must be quite high level. Obviously our society is quite diverse, and the doctors within it are diverse as well. They come from many nationalities, religions, political points of view. The context in which they work are all very different, but still there are some unifying values which I think can help doctors feel that they belong to a profession and to do their best for patients.
Members are deterred from behaving unprofessionally by what we do because we publicise all findings of professional misconduct in our Members magazine. More recently, we've also started to publish on our website. Our investigations are undertaken in the public interest, and on that basis it's in the public interest for the findings to be made available. Our members frequently express their desire to avoid publication in relation to breaches of professional standards, so we would see that as a success.
Peer pressure. Absolutely peer pressure. The expectation is that if somebody steps out of line, it's ostracism by other members that will influence it or drive them out of the institution.
Well, as I say, there is a certain professional standard that people will uphold once they've got a professional membership. But also they do look at the Code of Ethics, and they do look towards the Code of Conduct. They sign up to it, and so they actually are, in a way, not officially governed, but they are governed by a set of rules, which if they don't, that they don't keep, then there can be action taken against them.
I think the key challenge in my role is maintaining the balance between us educating and supporting our members in achieving compliance with the professional standards we expect of them, and also then objectively being able to take that step back and knowing when to intervene when that line has been crossed and education and support are no longer viable options and we have to take a more formal route.
I think the area that I would say I would be least confident in is unprofessional behaviour. We don't have very robust systems to deal with unprofessional behaviour, like, say, the medical people do. And I don't know that I can put my finger on exactly why that is, except that it's perhaps very difficult, or more difficult in an engineering context, to define unprofessional behaviour. I mean, we do have sort of clear-cut cases of somebody claiming to be a fellow and they're not a fellow, so that's completely not acceptable. But if we get complaints of somebody having given incorrect advice, there is generally so many factors to be taken into consideration that we'd be unlikely to find against that person as being unprofessional. Right? We do have occasional cases, but it's only a very small number.
I think the most difficult thing to accomplish is actually getting the word out to every member. You send it out to every member, but I'm not sure that they all actually take notice of things that they're given or sent. But I can't see that there's anything else that I would think was particularly difficult. Most of our members attend branch meetings, so they're very much networking and talking and being involved with the institution. And I think that obviously helps with any concerns would be fed back to us almost immediately, I would think.
It's always the devil is in the detail. What's difficult is when you are asked to look at exceptional circumstances, or you have a very good principle that you would like to apply to everything, and then you find the case where it doesn't apply or it doesn't easily apply. Helping doctors and patients who are distressed by the circumstances they face is often difficult for us, and we will provide advice for anybody that rings up and asks questions about ethical issues or about the GMC's guidance. And very often members of the public or doctors will ring up because they know really what our guidance says, but they're not quite sure what to do or how they can move their position on, and that can be quite a challenge helping them. I think it is very difficult for doctors who, the enormous majority of whom have gone into medicine in order to help people, and they want to do a good job, and they want to get to the end of the day feeling that they have helped people to improve their health or regain their health, and that they have done that in the best way that they can. But there are constant pressures of time and resources which make them have to make compromises in that best practice, and I think that can be very difficult for doctors to maintain on a day-to-day basis the very high standards that they probably want to achieve. It's very difficult to measure what standards are and whether they're going up or down. We know that there are more complaints received. Sort of virtually year on year, all the bodies which receive complaints, the NHS, the Ombudsman, the GMC, are all getting more complaints. But that's probably part of a much wider picture of the fact that society, we're more consumer focused, we're better informed, we can check things with Google, we're a different place. So I don't think that because there are more complaints that necessarily means that standards are going down. If there were fewer complaints, I don't think equally that would necessarily mean that standards were going up. So I think this is really difficult to know what the real drivers for preventing or poor behaviour are, and obviously that's an interesting area for further thought.